text, as we see in Revelation 20, the prophesy declares that some of the children of God that do not go along with the papacy's mark will find themselves at the business end of a guillotine. All too often the argument arises: how can we as a modern and more civilized people use guillotines? Would this not be barbaric as well as insane in today's age? After all, we are civilized now, and execution methods of the Dark Ages are just plain outdated. Therefore, this must prove the prophecy of Revelation chapter 20 to be absolutely false, right? Well, you may want to suggest to those that speak such words regarding prophetic facts, that they should hold on to their hats. Literally. A couple of years ago, some of you may recall that frequent the website that I made a statement on my old current events page that information had crossed my desk regarding the reality that thousands of guillotines were being stored on American soil. Not long after I posted that information, someone who I thought was acting on my best interests, informed me that conspiracy theories such as this were meant to soil the message of my ministry, and I should remove the ridiculous claim about the guillotines immediately. After much thought, I will admit I didn't pray about it. I decided to go along with that person's suggestions and remove the information I had placed on that page. Well, I am now kicking myself for doing just that. Not too long ago, I received word that the information I received regarding the guillotines was not only accurate, it was actually being lobbied in Washington, D.C. to get them legalized for governmental use. The states I mentioned on my current events page a few years back was in fact Georgia and Montana as the recipients of these guillotines. The information I had received was that 15,000 or 30,000 guillotines had been shipped to Georgia as well as Montana for safekeeping until such a time as they are needed. I don't recall the exact number. It's been a while. However, I do believe it was 15,000 guillotines for each storage facility. If this is true, and if so, what are they up to? Some of us that live down south may recall the video that was somehow released to the general public of a man being electrocuted in a Georgia prison facility. For those of us that saw the movie, The Green Mile, we know that if you do not place water on the sponge upon the man's head that is to die by electrocution, his death will not only be prolonged, and extremely violent, his head will actually ignite during the process. Not a very pleasant death to say the least. Fact is, many are aware, state executions are never videotaped. However, the tape of a man being electrocuted in Georgia did in fact somehow surface some years back. We also know that they did not place water as a necessary conductor in that sponge, because the video did in fact show the man's head igniting after he bounced around for quite some time in that chair. To think, someone would actually put someone through such torture so as to get a law lobbied. Is this not evidence that Rome is involved? Where else do you hear of such horrendous tactics in history? Question: why do you suppose a video would surface of an execution, when videos are never made at executions, and most certainly never released for public viewing if they were made? And why do you suppose they somehow forgot to place water on that sponge? Answer: the video was released so the American public can see it and complain about the inhumane methods used, thereby giving the government officials a springboard to start the lobbying process for guillotines. This video is no mistake, and neither were the statements made afterwards regarding the graphic video. The governing officials in Georgia were shouting it was inhumane to kill people like this. The prophecy declares that some will be killed by guillotine, and that is what must occur. So, the enemy will eventually figure out ways to get this done. Not because they believe the prophecy, and want to do as the Almighty declares in that prophecy. Not at all. The fact is, the Lord saw this end result from the beginning and decided to tell us in advance in His prophetic word. The wicked are merely doing what the Almighty already saw them do long ago. In other words, they will do it. Because our Lord saw them do it. Not long after that video surfaced, many state officials including the governor started a massive campaign to stop executions by electrocution. What was their decided choice for execution, you ask? A no-brainer. The guillotine. Some of you may be asking, why in this modern age we would have government officials lobbying for laws that would require guillotines as a way to kill those they deem worthy of death. With all our technology, with all our civilized ways, with all our humane laws, what would drive men to kill with such a thing as a guillotine? Money. That's right, folks. It's the exact same thing that moves the beast in Rome to do the things it does. The almighty dollar bill is what they worship, and the almighty dollar bill is what directs their paths. They truly serve the god of mammon. We are living in an age when we see commercials on TV telling everyone in the USA to sign the backs of their driver's licenses so they can harvest our organs for profit. Doctors all over the land lurk about like egg in a freaksty flick waiting for their patients to show signs of fading. The doctors jump at the first opportunity to harvest your dead loved ones before they even have a chance to get cold on the operating table. Think of it. You can get over $40,000 for one kidney now. Imagine what an entire human body is worth with 2 kidneys, 2 eyeballs, a heart, a liver, lungs, skin, gallbladders, bone marrow, blood, etc. The hospitals of the world have become literal body snatchers right before our eyes. Keep in mind as well, the governing officials of the world also see a cash cow in the executioner's cage because they know what they can get for those fresh organs. And the Almighty Creator knew of this long before any of our transplant surgeons were even born. Isn't that awesome how his prophecy works out? He doesn't have to give us the morbid details as to why they will be using guillotines. He just tells us they will be using them. So let's cut to the chase. Why would guillotines represent the better option? I am sure most of you have figured it out already. Why don't they choose lethal injection as an alternative? That is a very humane way to break the 6th commandment, isn't it? Or what about cyanide gas? The same gas used on the Jews that was manufactured by the family business of Pope John Paul II's parents. In fact, John Paul himself was a salesman of the gas. I never heard of anyone igniting or screaming or writhing for 2 or 3 minutes in a gas chamber in excruciating pain, or on a lethal injection table. Have you? So why don't they use those already in use so-called humane methods to kill the Christians they will eventually have in their jails? Because their organs would be poisoned and not worthy of harvesting. Alt plus.